Hey guys, my name's Kevin, and welcome to the video, and more importantly, welcome to the channel. This is my first upload on here, in case anybody watching is unaware, and as of right now, I do plan to have this channel be primarily focused on MLB The Show gameplay. So if that is something that interests you, make sure you stick around, and if you enjoy this video, make sure to come back and check out some of the future content that I plan to upload. I do plan to upload different types of videos, different types of game modes on here. Like rebuilds, road to the show, maybe a home run derby, some playoff brackets, maybe a player lock, and then of course challenges in any one of those game modes and even on their own. I do think it's really important if anyone does start watching to try to put up content that they want to see. As much as possible, which means, if you have any suggestions on what you want to see, make sure to leave them in the comments below, and that goes for any video past this point as well. And as long as I'm able to do them well enough, I will do my best to get those out. But yeah, also if anybody has any tips or advice or feedback, as long as it's not done in a negative manner, feel free to leave those in the comments as well, in terms of any of the gameplay videos that I put up. Maybe I might not do something 100% correctly, or maybe I'm butchering something, or don't have the hang or the know-how to work with a certain aspect of one of the game modes. But if you know more than I do on something, I'm totally open to tips and feedback on that stuff, because I do want to get better at anything that I might not be too great at. And I do plan to learn more as I put out videos, and I do want to put out the best content possible. So, again, as long as it's not in a negative manner, feel free to leave any tips, advice, feedback in the comments below. And again, any video suggestions can go down there too, and I will do my best to get those out for everyone. But yeah, into this video today, I wanted to start out with something a little more straightforward, I guess, which is a rebuild, and we're going to jump into that right now. So for the rosters, I use OSFM version 4.5 at the moment. I forget the name of the user who created this, but I will leave that just in case anybody is interested down in the description below. But we're going to go with that one today. And in terms of which team we're going to go with, I figured a good idea, maybe it's a bad idea, I'm not really sure, but I figured a good idea would be the Baltimore Orioles, since they are ranked 30th overall in the game at the moment. Now, this is the first time that I'm really playing a rebuild through. I do kind of want to set down some rules for myself in terms of on how I play these, which is at the moment just maybe 3 or 4 years that we go, depending. If we don't win the World Series, that's totally fine. We just want to try and improve the team as much as we can. Obviously the World Series is the main goal, but yeah, just try to stick to a certain amount of years so that nothing gets too old too quickly. Now, in terms of the format, we're here on the roster screen. I'm not really sure exactly how I'm going to go about these. I'm still kind of working that through. I want to try not to copy other people that I've seen on YouTube exactly, but depending on how many different options we have here, I might be doing that. I don't mean to, but I don't know. I'm just going to do what I feel comfortable doing here. But right now we're just going to kind of go through the roster and look at the players that we have at the moment, and maybe give some thoughts as to what we want to do with them this year. And depending on the time of the video, it will either be the whole rebuild through, or it will be year by year, or maybe every 2 years, something like that. Just, I gotta kind of work that out as we go. But we will be fast forwarding to the more important parts during the year. More so in the beginning, then maybe around the trade deadline, then maybe around the end of the year. And in the off season, maybe we'll just show some important signings or anything like that in the off season. But yeah, I'm gonna be kind of fooling around with this as I go until I get something set. So yeah, just bear with me on that, and we'll get into the roster. And one more thing before we start, actually, I went through and I got some of the sponsorships. I got those out of the way and set some of the settings here, past the initial settings that you saw me do. But in terms of something that maybe if you have any tips or advice on, I'm not 100% comfortable with the scouting system on here. I'm not really someone who knows it that well, or how to work it quite well. I've gotten mixed results when I do it. So if anybody has any tips or advice on that, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will definitely check those out. So hopefully in the future, if I make more of these, I'll be able to do them a little better, honestly, because I don't really feel too comfortable with that scouting system. But I just wanted to let you guys know that, and now we're gonna jump into the roster. All right, guys. So here is the current Orioles roster, and they traded away a lot of guys, a lot of their better players this year, and it's really left the team pretty barren. They don't have a lot of guys who are going to be impact players at the major league level here. They only have 4 guys over an 80 overall rating. So again, it is pretty bleak on this team right now. There's a reason they're rated 30th overall, I think. And right off the bat, we need a little bit of both offense and pitching. I feel like the pitching is needed more than the offense right now, because they really don't have a lot of guys. They have some decent prospects, but the problem with that is a lot of them are have a pretty low overall rating right now, even if they are an A potential. Now we're going to hold on to some of them for at least a few years, but since we're doing 3 or 4 years, like I said, the problem is because they're so low rated, we may not have time to have them develop quick enough to be of any help in this rebuild. I do only want to do 3 or 4 years, and they're definitely not gonna develop quick enough, I don't think. So we may use them as some trade bait if they don't develop enough within a year or 2 or 3, and get back some more immediate impact players for them to build this team up a little bit quicker. As for the offense, it's kind of the same. They have a few guys here that are decent potential, like Mountcastle especially. But again, I don't know how quickly they're going to develop. That really is the main issue here. And we'll just kind of have to see. And if they do, awesome. We'll try to fit them in. If they don't, we're going to have to, after a few years, we're going to have to trade some of them to get back some more impact players, like I mentioned with the pitching prospects. And just to quickly go over the roster, we got Bundy here, who is someone that we're going to hold on to, and he may be our number 2 or number 3 catcher starter down the line. Cobb and Cashner are guys that we can hold on to at the moment, depending on their contract, which, yeah, they're both here for 2 years, so we may hold on to them this year, but definitely by next trade deadline, we do want to look to trade them, unless one of them, more so Cobb, I would feel, surprises us and does well. He may be a good number 4 or 5 starter. As for the prospects, like I mentioned, the only guys that really are worth holding on to, in my opinion, right now, based on the time that we're doing for this rebuild, is Ramirez, maybe Yanoa, and Harvey. Yanoa, I know he develops to a decent starter, but that may take a little bit too long. As for Ramirez and Harvey, I'm not really sure. For the relief pitchers, we got Blyer, who really does not have a lot of service time, but in his time playing, he's done really well. And he is a lefty, and he would be a good guy to keep around, even though he is 30 years old already, just to have that kind of like a veteran presence, someone who's done well that we can kind of lean on a little bit while we don't have too many guys to lean on. So we're definitely going to look to keep him around at least for a few years, I think. There's Givens, who is definitely not a closer. In this game, in my experience, he tends to decline rather than trend upwards. in his stats, so he is definitely not a closer, and he may even be someone we look to trade in a few years, because he has done well the past 3 years, and that definitely doesn't continue, in my opinion, when you move ahead a few years down the road. Again, we don't have too many guys. Someone like Tanner Scott might be worth hanging on to. Maybe a Castro here. Marinas and Phillips, they may not be guys we hold on to very long, based on their potential, and I don't think they're gonna progress too much in their ratings. Maybe Phillips is a little more likely than Marinas, but yeah, there's not too much to go on here. As for the catchers, I'm not really sure. Joseph and Suzak are good for backup guys or third catchers on the roster. They're definitely not starters by any means. Wins, we're going to have to see how he progresses. In real life, in a short amount of playing time that he's had, he hasn't done that terribly. So he may be someone that we just watch for right now. Cisco is definitely someone who we'd like to hold on to. Hopefully he can develop. If not, we may have to trade him in 2 years or so if we're still struggling at the catcher position. First base, we got Trumbo, who's good for now. I think he's on a 2-year deal. Yeah, so he may be someone we hold on to right now, and definitely probably trade him by next year. If he declines, we may want to trade him a little sooner so we can get more for him, if anything, of real value. He's only a 73 with a C potential, and he's 32. But Davis, on the other hand, one of the worst contracts, honestly, in real life. It's definitely not his salary in real life. He's definitely someone we're looking to trade, probably this year, if not immediately. I don't see him doing too much, and he does decline. VR is a good guy to hold on to, just to have as that second baseman there to fill the gap, if not to stay there for a little while. Maybe we can build up some other positions and we won't need to have this high-rated second baseman. He'll be enough. He does have some speed. He can hit a few bombs. He does have some decent contact. So we may hold on to him depending on how he does. Peterson is just a bench player, in my opinion, who, if anything, he may play a role this year, but past that, I really doubt it. As for third baseman, we got Nunez, who I think does develop pretty nicely. I don't know how quickly he will, so he's someone who we want to watch definitely. We're definitely going to have him start at third base, I think, this year. Mountcastle is someone who's a pretty decent prospect, honestly, if he can develop, but again, timing-wise, we'll have to see about that. As for shortstops, we got Beckham, who is kind of in the same boat as VR, who's good. If we can find someone better, great. If not, he may be okay to have there. I'm not so sure about his fielding, which doesn't look terrible, but it's not the best. His hitting, he can hit. I think it was him who came over last year at the trade deadline, or maybe in August, and he did really well for them, so he may be someone worth holding on to for a little while, at least. And Sardinez, I don't really expect much from him. We got Bielma and Grenier, who are, decent prospects, but again, time-wise, I don't know if they're going to come into play. And of course, apologies in advance if I mess up any of these names. Some of them are hard to pronounce if you don't know how to pronounce them. Off to the outfield now, we got Mancini, who's a good guy to hold on to. He does have some decent power. He develops nicely for a little while. Santander, if he can develop, he's a good guy to have there. Just looking at his stats, his offense is a little low, but his defense isn't too bad. Not much else behind them. Mullins, I'm not really sure of off the bat. He's a B potential. He's 23, 70 overall. I think he could develop into something, but again, it's hard for me to remember a lot of these guys just off the top of my head from past experiences playing the game, so we'll have to see with that. Brugman, I do think he does develop into a decent outfielder, so he could be a fourth or fifth guy who, if we don't have anyone else, depending on how quickly he develops, Hayes, I'm not really sure about. You'd like to have him because he is one of those better prospects, but again, we're not really sure about that. And as for right field, Jones, we're probably going to be looking to trade him this year. Rickard is a guy who we may hold on to as a fourth outfielder. Gentry, we're probably going to have to drop. And then we have Diaz, who could turn into something good, and Andreoli, who also could turn into something good. The only problem with him is his age. He's already 27, so we're going to have to see with that. So yeah, that's the roster. I'm sorry if it's a little rough. This is my first rebuild. Again, any tips, any advice, any feedback is more than welcomed. So yeah, just give me a little time, bear with me here while I get used to doing this. I'm gonna try to get better at it as we go. But yeah, I will look in the free agency first to see if there's anyone there who we may be able to pick up. So if I find anyone there, we'll meet back. I'll meet you guys there. Otherwise, we may look to make 1 or 2 trades. So I'll see you guys at one of those screens in a second. Okay guys, so I'm here at the free agency screen, and there's a starter that I definitely want to try to pick up here in Alvarez. He's 27, 77 overall. In my experience, he does pretty well. You know, he's a good guy to get in this situation, at least just to have in the rotation for the time being to hold it over. If he does well and develops more, that'd be awesome. But yeah, he's someone who I definitely want to sign, and I'm probably going to drop Eddie Gamboa, who really is not anywhere near the radar, in my opinion. So yeah, we're gonna drop him, and Alvarez we're gonna sign to not a 5-year deal. I tend to stay away from multi-year deals with them because you know they get upset a lot with their salary and other things, and it changes from year to year. So I tend to usually do 1-year deals, but I'm gonna sign him to a 2-year deal just because a lot of times also they don't like 1-year deals. But you know, if we want to trade him, we have a little more time to do so. So we picked him up. There was a reliever who I really love getting, who really turns into a very solid guy. He really isn't a closer or anything, but he's a really nice guy to have there in the bullpen, Jose Torres. So we're gonna pick him up, and I'm trying to think who we're gonna. Not Hart. Nope. I think it was this guy, Wotherspoon. Alright, so we're going to release Wotherspoon and pick up Jose Torres again to a 2-year deal. And I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. I had an idea to maybe pick up Montero and platoon him with Susac. Because Susac is a little bit better versus lefties. Montero's a little bit better versus righties. Now, they're not great by any means, but Montero is a decent fielder. So is Susac, and that can kind of be like a holding spot again to hold over until we get someone better, or Cisco or maybe even Wins develops a little bit more. So I'm gonna come back to this, I think, unless we have, you know, we have a couple guys here. He's 22. Yeah, maybe we'll release him. Some of their faces are making me laugh a little bit here. We're gonna pick up Montero here on a 1-year deal. We're gonna try to get him on a 1. He doesn't want to be on a 1-year deal. Okay, I feel you, Montero. You want some security in that contract. 2-year deal. I'm gonna regret that maybe. But yeah, we're gonna definitely look to trade Joseph, I think. And then the only other thing in free agency is I really think Revere could be a good guy to pick up for the outfield this year and maybe the second year. I'm not so sure how he develops, but he may be someone we can get, because I do just want to. I really just want to drop Gentry here. I really maybe I'll look to trade him. I'm not really sure. I kind of just want to see. You know what? I'll be back again. See if I can figure something out here, and I'll let you guys know. I'll meet you in the trade screen. Alright guys, so I released Darby Miller. He was a left fielder. I think he was a C or D potential. Really nothing nothing special, not to talk down about him or anything. But yeah, and we picked up Ben Revere to kind of take that fifth outfielder spot for this year, and I'm looking to trade Gentry and maybe Rickard. I'm not really sure. But once I find a trade partner for Gentry and potentially Chris Davis, I'll bring that screen up for you guys to see. Okay guys, so I found a deal for another reliever who may not be there this year, but definitely could play a role in the next 2 or 3 years. Jose Mesa on the Yankees, who's a B potential, and he does actually develop decently in the next few years. He's 24, 65 overall. Okay stats for right now, but I'm pretty sure he does develop nicely. So he's someone who we could definitely use in the next few years. We're going to trade away Caleb Joseph because we picked up Montero, and we're going to use that platoon. And then we're going to trade away Chris Davis because I really want to drop him, and then and then Craig Gentry we're going to get rid of also. So we're going to send them all over to the Yankees, and I'm going to look for any more trades. I'm not sure if there will be any, but you know, if there is, I'll come back to the screen. If there isn't, I'll see you guys at the trade deadline. Alright, so I have a trade here for Jeffrey Ramirez on our team. We can have Yanoa fill his spot here as two guys to... Him and Wright are two guys that we can watch that potentially could be a 4th or 5th spot in the rotation. But we're going to trade Ramirez for 2 spots that we definitely need some help with. To the Athletics for Ryan Dull. Where is he? Here he is. He's 28, C potential 74. He definitely needs some help with home runs, but you know, he's okay. He could be a nice pickup, at least for the time being. I'm not entirely sure of his tendencies in terms of development, but I feel like in the past he has done well. I mean, in 2016 he had a 2.42 ERA in 74 innings, so you know, he can get the job done out of the bullpen. I'm just seeing some of his stats here. Decent stats with the walks and the Ks per 9. I mean, last year he didn't do as well, but you know, I'm willing to give it a try here with him. And then we also pick up Mike Fiers, who is a decent pickup to have as a 5th starter right now. Yeah, so I think this is a good trade for us at the moment, and we can always flip Fiers and Dull if they're not working out too well. But potentially, at least Dull could be a guy that we could have for a few years to come. So we're going to go through with this trade, and then I think that'll be it until the trade deadline, and we'll see how everyone's doing then. Alright guys, so we're here at the draft, and I believe, what pick do we have? We have the 9th pick overall. So we scouted some guys. I'm not the best with scouting, so hopefully we get a decent draft. But yeah, we're gonna see what we can find in this, and we'll go through each pick. Okay, so with the first pick, we do really need a closer, like I mentioned. I don't want Givens to be there for too long, and this player is pretty young. He's a blue chip prospect. He's gonna be here potentially next year. He has an 80 potential. He's 70 overall, so he's got some pretty good stats across the board. Walks are good, strikeouts, hits, or you know, he's got some pretty good stats, and a bonus, his injury risk is low. So hopefully he turns out to be a good player and an impact player, and we're gonna take him with the first pick. Alright, so with the second pick overall, now this really is going to be a guessing game from here on out. I scouted a bunch of players, but... oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, he's drafted. Okay, never mind. I scouted a bunch of players, but there's only 2 guys left who out of all the guys that have been scouted, so that did not go too great. Yeah, so right now I'm thinking about a starter, and my guess is going to be to go with Kurt Lancaster here, who's 18. Potential arrival time to the MLB is 2019, so next year. His potential overall is 80. He's overall 75. Again, decent stats across the board, at least decent potential. You know, he still has some developing to do. Maybe he won't be up next year. But, you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, he turns into a decent pitcher for us. So we're going to take him with the number 2 pick. All right, so with the 3rd pick, we're going to go with a first baseman, Freddie Cordero, who's 21. His arrival time is estimated for next year, 2019, as well. His potential is 70. Oh, we will go over him next. Didn't mean to do that. Pressed the wrong button. Oh, wait a minute. That was the competitive balance round. I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. So we'll go over it right here anyway. Yeah, so Freddie Cordero, potential 70. He's overall 70 already. So I don't know how much more he's going to develop if this is anywhere accurate. But he does have good potential both in hitting and in power. Contact and in power, I should say. Decent fielder. He's got potential for a good discipline and vision. His injury risk is low. You know, not a bad pick if he can, you know, if it's not too off from what they're saying he could be. So we took him with our 3rd pick in the competitive balance round B, and now we're gonna pick for our 3rd round draft pick. All right, so again, I pressed the wrong button, but with our pick in the 3rd round, we chose Nicky Escalona. He is a right fielder, 21, potential 80. His estimated time was also for 2019, I believe, if not 2020. He had some, you know, good potential. He's secondary position as a first baseman. We definitely are short on first baseman, so, you know, that's good to have a little bit of depth there. He's got some good power potential, like I was going to say, some decent contact. Not a bad pick. He's very fast, apparently. So that's always an added bonus, especially if he has some potential to have a lot of power, too. This guy could be a 5-tool player. We're not really sure. But we'll see how he comes out. So that's who we picked for number 3, and I'll meet you guys back for pick number 4. Alright, so with the 4th round pick, we're going to go with Mario Salas. He's 22, he's international region. His estimated arrival time for the MLB is 2019 as well. His potential is an 80. The only bad potentials that I see are his fielding, which is not very good, and he could work on his, obviously, reaction time and walks per 9, but everything else is like in the 70s and 80. So that's, you know, that's promising to look at. So we're not really sure again how he's going to turn out. His injury risk is low, so that's a bonus. But hopefully he works out. And I'm trying to get guys whose estimated arrival time is more in the near future, just because, again, of the time limit that I want to have on this rebuild. You know, the sooner we can get a winning team together, the better. Definitely don't want to go through 4 years and not have a team make the playoffs or anything like that. So that's why we're aiming for these more closer arrival times for these guys. So we're going to go with Mario Salas. He is a little bit older at 22, but that's okay. We did need another relief pitcher. I wanted to get another one. So I will meet you guys back with pick number 5. Okay, so with pick number 5, or maybe number 6 actually, this is round 5. We're going with Ralph Hood. He's a starting pitcher. He's 21, and his potential is a 75. His overall is a 65. His estimated arrival time is 2019. Overall, he's got some decent potential in terms of his stats. The only areas that I see that are, you know, not that great is fielding and reaction time. But yeah, I'm not really sure exactly on what to be looking for, or if there's any things that are misleading in terms of the draft and scouting players and drafting players. So I'm kind of just going with what I feel might be a good pick. Again, if anybody has any tips or advice or feedback on this stuff with the draft, please let me know. It'll be much appreciated, because this is a part that I'm not too sure about. But yeah, we're going to go with Ralph Hood in round number 5, and I'll see you guys for round number 6. Okay, so with pick number 5, we're going to go with Alfonso Ramirez. He is estimated to arrive in 2020. He is 20 years old, and he is potential 75, overall 65. He also plays first base. He is a shortstop. Overall, he's kind of got average potential in a lot of these things. Hitting more so is average. His fielding's a little bit better. Again, kind of just like an average average potential across the board for the most part, but not a bad pick, I don't think, if he turns out to be more of an accurate assumption with what he can do, with what he can become in terms of a player. So we'll see how everything goes, and I'll see you guys back at the screen for going over each draft pick. Alright guys, so as you can see, not the best draft, quite honestly. The first pick was a blue chip. He turned out to be potentially really good. It's Pedro Diaz, who's an A potential, 74 overall already. He's a lefty, he's a closer. We really needed that. Hopefully he can come up soon and get into that closer role, get Givens back into the bullpen, unless he's doing really well. I haven't checked yet. Yeah, he needs to work on his clutch, so that's actually a big thing, because I feel like that's very important with the closers. But overall, pretty good pick. So we're gonna sign him to a 1-year deal. For the other guys, we're not gonna really. I mean, we could sign these guys. I'm never opposed to it because they could be decent backup players, or maybe like Freddie Cordero. He is a deep potential, but I don't know. Maybe he develops a little bit more and he's able to be that backup player. So we're not really sure. He does have decent hitting stats. That's the main thing. They could decline, of course. His fielding is terrible. Yeah, but we're gonna definitely. You know what? We're gonna sign him because we really do need some first base depth. Right fielder Nicky Escalona is a 79. We could sign him, I guess. 73 starting pitcher Kurt Lancaster. Not too big on him. Mario Salas is a reliever. He's a 77 potential. His clutch is really terrible. You know, I don't know. His control is pretty bad. His walks, that whole issue there is maybe a problem. Ralph Hood, a starter, who's potential 77. He is not too good, but I want to sign one of the starters for sure, and he's the better one, so we'll sign him. Shortstop Alfonso Ramirez is 74 potential. He's 20. He's really not that good. I mean, he's decent in the speed department and, you know, with his arm, but there's not much there for him, and he's, you know, we got to rebuild the team, so we're not going to take him. We're not going to take Salas, and we're not going to take Lancaster, but we got one really good pick, and then 3 guys who, you never know, could become something of a contributor to the team in the years to come. So we're going to leave it at that. Not the best draft. Again, any tips, advice on drafting, I would be very appreciative of anyone if they know more about it. If you're watching this, feel free to leave that in the comments below, and I'll pick you guys up back at the trade deadline and hopefully make a few trades to better the team from there. Okay guys, so our first trade at the deadline is Mark Trumbo for Paulo Orlando. He's on the Royals. Trumbo is just doing like really bad this year. He's hitting 160, kind of like a Chris Davis this year, except we already released Chris Davis or traded him, I think. And Trumbo is not doing any better. Maybe we traded the wrong guy. I don't know, but they both probably had to go anyway. So we're gonna trade Trumbo. We're lucky to have gotten this trade for Paulo Orlando, who is a decent. He's got nice contact. He's not having a terrible year, but he is, you know, his overall is trending a little bit downwards. They are the same age, so there's no plus there. You know, his potential is staying the same, and with Trumbo gone, Orlando does not slide into first, but he does slide into second, where VR is kind of struggling, who I'm just realizing now VR can slide into first base. We could call up Pedro Alvarez, even though he's not very highly rated, because he is doing well in the minors, or we could go and find another first baseman on the free agent market to just kind of come in here and take over that position for at least the rest of this year. So that is going to be the first trade, and I will see you guys when or if we have another one. Otherwise, I will see you guys at the end of the year. Alright guys, so here is the second trade that I found for Adam Jones. We're going to be trading him to the Phillies for Carlos Santana, and that actually works out really nicely because, you know, we have enough depth in the outfield for guys that can come up, and they are actually doing pretty well in AAA. We have enough guys down there that can come up and fill Jones's position, and we do need that first baseman, so Santana actually fills that out. And even on the Phillies, Santana really is not playing that much due to Bohr, I think, being there. You know, he's really not playing that much. He's taken a backseat role when he really still kind of is a starter. I'm not planning on having him around necessarily for that long. I might trade him before his contract is up. I think he has 2 more years on it. But Bohr is there as their first baseman. So yeah, this actually is a really good deal for us to be making here. And I might try to look for another deal for a starting pitcher because we have a few that are really not doing that well. So if I find that, we'll be at that screen. And again, otherwise, I'll see you guys at the end of the year. Okay guys, so this is the third trade, and this will probably be the last trade by the deadline. But we're going to send Cashner to the Cubs along with Jacob Brugman in exchange for Drew Smyly, who actually is a really solid middle of the rotation guy to get because he does hold up pretty well for the next several years. And I'm actually not sure what he's doing. I hope he's not doing terrible. He's not even pitching. That's right. He's not even pitching. So yeah, we're going to trade for Smyly, and I was also able to get, by throwing Brugman in, because they wouldn't trade Smyly straight up for Cashner, I threw Brugman in, and that left a little space that I could get some more. And they're willing to trade Wilson as well, who's actually having a pretty good year. Now, he's a guy who has some saved closer experience, so he can always slide in there if Givens does struggle at all for right now. But again, not a full-time closer in my opinion, but he is a nice piece for a bullpen, so he's definitely going to upgrade that. So I think this is actually a really good deal. And yeah, I will see you guys after this by the end of the year to go over how everything went for the first year. So I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, so we're finally at the end of the first year, and the Orioles actually did a lot better than I expected them to. They finished the year at 73-89. They were 28 games out of the AL East, but you know, we weren't going for that division title or a wild card spot. They were also 18 games back in the wild card race, but surprisingly, the Rays did worse than them. So we did not have the worst record in the division, and I think it was 5 teams did worse than us in the AL. So definitely a lot better, and our overall team ranking went up 4 spots. So hopefully we're going in the right direction. Overall, after the trade deadline, they actually in the final 2 months they played 5 games over 500. They went 29 and 24, I believe. Before that, every month was under 500, except for May. I think they were 14 or 14. So after that trade deadline, we actually did a lot better. There were definitely some improvements there. And yeah, everything's looking a little bit promising, trending in the right direction. Hopefully we can continue that. And now we're just going to go over some of the guys on the roster. There were a few injuries here and there. I don't have injuries off, so Revere kept getting hurt. We had a couple injuries here and there I told you about. Or did I tell you? I don't know if I told you. If I did, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. But Andreoli was hurt a little bit. Santander, they were called up and then they immediately got hurt. But towards the end of the year, Cobb went out for a few months with a broken forearm, and Smyly was out for a few weeks. So we got Yanoa and Wright a few starts here and there. But just to go over things, Wright is trending in the right direction, of course, because his last name is Wright. He's an overall going up. He's 69. He has 1 loss, 17 innings, 4.24 ERA. He didn't do too bad. He did not do too bad for filling in at the end of the year there. Yanoa actually did a lot better even. He's 3-1, 34 innings, 8-17 walks and strikeouts, 1.59 ERA in 34 innings. That was that was really good. I think he started the year at a 64 overall rating, so he's shooting up. I told you that I was pretty sure that he becomes a decent middle of the rotation starter a few years down the line. So maybe he's developing a lot quicker than I thought, and he could be in the plans moving forward. His whip was really good. Yeah, overall he came up and he did really well. You don't have to strike out a bunch of guys. His walk rate was a little bit high, but he did really well filling in there. Cobb finished the year 3.97 ERA, 5-11, but you can't fault him for not the best team behind him. He didn't do too bad. I really don't think I'm going to be keeping him for too long. So he's definitely someone who will be getting traded probably next year. I think he dropped in rating as well. Fires did a little bit better in the second half, but nothing too special. I didn't expect him to do a lot, but definitely someone who's just there to kind of like fill in the gap in the rotation, and sooner or later he's going to get traded as well. Yeah, he didn't, he did what I expected him to do. Drew Smiley came in, not the best ERA. Hopefully he turns that around next year a little bit. But usually he does provide some solid innings there. 3-3, 4.77 ERA. His whip's a little high. I think I actually have to research whip a little bit more and see what's high and see what is too high. I'm not exactly sure about that. I started to say that was a little high. I'm not really sure. But yeah, at a 10 game started, he only had 4 quality starts. That's something that really needs to be changed. 1 shutout though. He didn't do too bad. Henderson Alvarez was a pretty solid pitcher throughout the whole year. 3.68 ERA and 191 innings pitched. He did pretty good. Usually he does. I'm not so sure year in and year out if it's consistent, but he does pitch pretty well. And Bundy did actually really well. He had a plus 500 ERA. Not ERA, win-to-loss record. And a 3.40 ERA. Wilson, 3.71 ERA, 74 strikeouts. He did not do too well after the trade, but not that bad. Not that bad. Blyer, 1.7 ERA. He is really good. He's sneaky good. Not really sneaky because he's been doing good the past 2 years, but he's pretty good, and that whip is really nice. So good to have him there. Dull didn't do too bad. He did pretty well. Hopefully he can keep that going. 3.42 ERA in 79 innings. Jose Torres struggled a little bit. I sent him down. He had a 4.73 ERA. Hopefully he turns that around. Evan Phillips. There's a player on the Mets called Phillip Evans, so I get their names mixed up. He actually did pretty well. 3.56 ERA in 78 innings. Castro, not so much. 5.78. Hart came up because he was doing good in the minors. 6.1 innings. He didn't allow a run. Marina is not too great either. 5.59 ERA. Jose Mesa, 4.68 ERA in 42 innings. He was doing good in the minors, but he could definitely improve. Not terrible, especially since it's his first call-up, but, we want to see him improve a little bit there. And Tanner Scott, 2.82 ERA in 22 innings, so not bad there for Tanner Scott. Cody Carroll, what did he do? Perfect, 3 innings, awesome. All right, Michael Givens, 37 saves, 2.47 ERA. He did better than I expected him to do, quite honestly. So, he's actually trending upwards, his potential, so maybe we'll leave him in the closer role for now. But I definitely do want to have another closer, because it'd be, the depth-wise, you really would like to have someone like Givens as a setup man and push everyone back a little bit and get a stronger bullpen going there. Montero did pretty well. 94 hits, 10 homers, 42 RBIs, 269. His on base is good. What else? His WAR, not bad. Pretty good fielding. Okay. Wins was called up, I think, at the end of the year. He didn't really have much playing time. He is going up, trending upwards. Where's Montero? Montero's staying the same. Suzak, he actually improved. He was hitting like 203, I think, at the deadline. Somewhere around there, so he definitely did better in the second half. Cisco is actually improving a lot, so that's good to see. Santana, he's doing okay. I think he was actually hitting 257 when he came over here, so that's nice to see. VR got a little bit better in the second half. He's hitting 243. Peterson stayed around the same, 250. It's good. He's a good bench piece. He is, I have to say. Nunez, not bad. He was actually our only All-Star, but he had a nice first full season there. 24 homers, not bad. Mountcastle, I'm not really sure. His potential is going down. His overall is going up. Not really sure about him. Beckham, he kind of did a little bit better in the second half. Got it going a little bit. Sardinius, he did surprisingly well as in the backup role. Vielma, Grenier, Mancini did really nicely, 27 homers, kind of what I expected. His power tends to go up in the next few years, and he has a couple really nice seasons usually. Revere hit over 300. You know, with that contact rating he's got, you expect him to do that a lot better than his previous 2 years. He kind of fell off a cliff a little bit. Well, he never really hit for much of an average, did he? But yeah, suddenly he was like really bad. Paulo Orlando improved a little bit. I had him platooning at second base. Santander, in a little bit of playtime he had, did pretty well. Hoping to have him improve more and be a one of the 5 at least outfielders on the team moving forward. Mullins, average could be a lot better. He was kind of like the backup outfielder, and he kept filling in when Revere would get hurt. But not too bad. Could definitely improve though. Hayes, he's improving overall. Potential's going down. Rickard, potential's going down, but he didn't have a bad season either. Had some nice pop there. He played enough. He was DHing a lot. 304 on base. What's his WAR? Not good. Not good WAR. So yeah, we kind of have to watch him to see which way he goes. Is he going to improve? Is he going to, decline? Then we have Diaz, who's actually improving nicely. He had a decent year in the minors. Called him up to AAA. Andrioli, 3 for 8. Didn't really get a lot of playing time. Kept calling him up and down. Someone would get hurt. And Yastrzemski is someone else who I called up when everybody was being hurt in the outfield. He went 2 for 8. So overall, not a bad first season. A lot better than I expected. A lot of the players did, if they were doing bad, they kind of picked it up in the second half for the majority of them. And yeah, it's actually so far doing a lot better. Hopefully we can make another stride forward in the second season. I'm going to go into the off season with this, and any major signings will be in the second part of this. I'm going to end this part here. This will be part 1, the first year. I'm going to try to make them a little bit shorter as I continue to do them. I'm sorry if this is kind of long, but I'll definitely try to do that. Unless people who see this enjoy it in different parts per seasons, then I'll stick to that. But for now, we're going to leave it here. It was a promising first season to the Orioles in 2018. We're going to finish the season quickly, and yeah, we're going to pick it up in the second year. And the Yankees have defeated the Pirates in the 2018 World Series. Wow, Pirates! Did not expect that. But yeah, also I did not check. We got a Gold Glove Award winner, Paulo Orlando. That's about it. So yeah, we'll pick this up in Season 2, 2019 for the Orioles. Hopefully we'll continue trending upwards a little bit. And I'm thinking maybe the third season, maybe if we keep going in this direction, we might be playing for a playoff spot, maybe a wild card spot. But we'll see how things go. I know I definitely have some trades and some switch-ups that I definitely have in mind. And any signings that I make in the off-season will be in the next video. It'll be the beginning of the next video, and we'll go from there, and we'll end here every year. But thank you guys for checking this out. I really do appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, feel free to leave a like. Feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to be updated for more videos. And yeah, I'll try to get the next season up as soon as possible. So yeah, I hope you guys are all doing well, and until the next part in this video series, I will see you guys later.